We're going to talk all about criticism today. We are going to do a deep dive into what is criticism. Why is it so tempting to be critical? Why do we do this? Why are we critical towards ourselves, towards our partner, our kids? And then what can we do to kind of cleanse criticism from our personalities, from our experience? I am really I am not just wanting, I'm committed to doing a criticism cleanse. This is something I've been thinking about for a long time because I myself realize that criticism impacts my relationships so much, especially with my husband and with myself. I don't criticize my kid, but I definitely criticize myself and I definitely criticize my husband. And it creates this like rift between us. And it really gets in the way of me being happy and of him being happy. And so if you find yourself in the same boat, if you find that one or both of you are critical in your relationship, or if you find that you're simply critical towards yourself, let's really talk about this. All right. So we're going to start with what is criticism. Now, you may have heard the difference between a criticism and a complaint is that a complaint is saying, can you please, well, that's more of a request. A request would be like, can you please do something different? A complaint is like, you did this thing wrong or not in a way that I would choose to do it. A criticism is actually an attack on someone's character. So it's not just you didn't do the dishes. Can you please do them? That's like a complaint and then a request. It's like, you didn't do the dishes. Why are you so lazy? Or you didn't do the dishes. You must not care about me. Now, I want to really lump this like misinterpreting someone's intentions and misinterpreting what something means into criticism, because we can think that me saying you don't care about me is just, I'm just expressing how I feel. But actually, no, you're telling your partner what they think, which is, you don't know why they didn't do the thing unless you ask them, right? So these are all things that I'm going to try to avoid. And if you're with me, keep watching. I'll give you some tools and tips on how to do this, at least share how I'm planning on doing it. I'm a couples counselor. I help people with this kind of thing all the time. But on this channel, I'm also sort of committing to myself to do the things that really create happiness, that make us feel better. And that's one of the things that's really, really important to me. Okay, so we've learned the difference between a complaint and a criticism. Now let's talk about what's happening for us when we criticize. What's really going on? When I'm critical of my partner, when you're critical of yourself or your partner or your friend or whoever it is that you're critical of, what's happening is actually an attempt to reduce anxiety. So let's take a scenario, okay? I walk in the house and the dishes are not done. I was expecting the dishes to be done. They're not done. I have a few choices, right? I can either do them myself. I can go ask my partner, like, hey, the dishes aren't done. Like, what happened? Or I can say, the dishes aren't done. What's wrong with you? Like, why didn't you do them? This is a simple task. You never do anything around here. Like, basically, what's wrong with you? That's a criticism, right? It's like, there's something wrong with you. You're not good enough in some way. You messed up again. It makes whoever's on the receiving end feel like they've been a bad puppy. It's like you're like whacking them on the nose with the newspaper. It makes them feel scolded. And it also tends to be devoid of curiosity, right? When we criticize, we're not usually asking like, hey, what happened here? Like, what went wrong that you couldn't do the dishes? We're like, there's something wrong with you. This is a simple task. Why didn't you do it? You're an idiot, basically. And that's how they feel. And a lot of times, especially when there's like resentment in our relationship, that's kind of what we're thinking. It's not like we're saying it perfectly and they're just hearing that we think poorly of them. We're actually saying we think poorly of them. And oftentimes it is what we're feeling, right? When there's a lot of resentment in our relationship, when things feel unfair, yeah, we're going to be critical because sometimes it's the only way we think we'll be able to get anything done. If we look inside your body and see what's happening inside your body, you're getting more anxious. It's like you see the dishes and suddenly there's a spike in your anxiety level because you're thinking, great, now I have to do it, or, oh, again, this always happens, or I'm always going to feel this way. Nothing is ever going to change. There's an anxiety inside of you that starts to rise. And criticism is a way that our body and our mind tries to get someone else to change so we can feel better. If you change, if I criticize you and then you do the dishes, then I'm going to feel better because my anxiety is going to lower. Because if you change and change your behavior, I can then tell myself it's okay. I'm not always going to feel this way. But sometimes we don't know how to enact change. Me just saying, hey, can you please do the dishes, might not get the dishes done. Plus, my anxiety is so high that I'm sometimes not even able to say the thing calmly and rationally, right? So criticism is actually a response to our own anxiety. If it's true that criticism is a response to our own anxiety, then instead of needing our partner to change and do something different right away, if we instead focus on our anxiety, how do I reduce this anxiety? How do I calm myself down? Then we can tell our partner what we need from them in a kinder, more curious way that then strengthens our relationship and doesn't damage their self-esteem, their sense of self-worth, and also doesn't make us feel terrible at the end of the day when we realize that we've been highly critical. So I want to say that again, okay? Criticism is a way of getting someone else to change. Basically, it's blaming someone else for how we're feeling. I'm not saying it's not their fault that the thing didn't get done, but we always have a choice in how we treat someone. So we can choose to blame them and treat them with disdain, belittle them, criticize them in order to make them change, or we can focus all that energy on us, calm ourselves down, and then have a more productive conversation. Now, if you're at the very end of your rope with your partner, if you're like, let's say in the early stages of parenthood, like the first 5, 7, 10 years of being a parent, you spend a lot of that time really feeling miserable. Often, if you're like a normal parent in this day and age, and a lot of that time feeling really disconnected from your partner, and both partners often feel underappreciated, like nobody sees all the effort that they're putting in. Nobody sees all of the things that they're doing to try to keep this house running and keep these kids going, right? Nobody sees what they're going through. We all feel that way. So if you're in the early stages of parenthood, the first several years of parenthood, chances are you're going to be at the end of your rope a lot of the times. And that doesn't mean we should just abandon this idea of stopping being critical, right? That doesn't mean we just say, okay, fine, we're going to be critical. It just means there's even extra incentive to not be critical, because if we can learn ourselves in this stage, if we can make it through this stage without being critical, if we can learn how to rein that in, man, it's going to be a breeze after this, right? This is the very best thing that we can possibly do for ourselves. So we've learned the difference between a criticism and a complaint. And also we've learned that criticism is actually a response to our own anxiety. Now I want you to imagine with me, there's a critical part of your brain and there's an appreciative part of your brain. You can kind of think of them like the angel and the devil on your shoulders. Not that one of them is inherently bad and the other one's inherently good, but kind of, right? Like kind of criticism feels bad and appreciation feels good. So you can think of them as two different parts of you. Both parts exist within you. It's just a matter of which one you're paying attention to, which one you're feeding into. Have you ever had the experience of like having kind of like a negative thought about something? Or like, let's say you're scrolling social media and you see something that highlights something in your life that you're really not happy about. And from that thought, it's like you get more and more thoughts about things you're unhappy about, and you get this like sensation in your stomach. This is essentially doom scrolling in a nutshell, right? It's like you see something, you feel bad. Then as you're scrolling more, you see more and more things, and your brain starts to think about all the things that you don't like, and you get into this really negative space. In these moments, you're feeding the critical part of you. You're feeding the part of you that says you're not good enough, your partner's not good enough, your kid's not good enough, nothing is good enough. And what's the point in doing anything, right? I had that this morning. I woke up that way this morning. I went on my phone, I went on Facebook, which I try never to do in the mornings. And I just like saw this reel and it made me feel terrible about myself. And then I continued on and I caught it this morning. I was like, Jenna, this is why I tell you not to go on Facebook first thing in the morning. Like, stop doing that. You're okay. You're good. You're okay. You've got so much going for you. It's okay. Keep going. Keep at it. Right. And I kind of talked myself out of it, but oftentimes I don't. So that's me feeding that part of myself. Now, I wonder what it looks like for you when you feed that critical part of yourself. What are the actions that tend to start that? What are the thoughts that tend to keep that going? And then think about the times when you're feeding the appreciative part of you. When you look around the house and know it's not perfect and there's shit everywhere, and you notice that your partner like did something. Maybe they, put the kids' stuff away last night. Or maybe, like the other day, I was going to come out to watch some TV after putting my kid to bed, and my husband wasn't going to be home. He was at volleyball. So he had made this like really sweet spot on the couch for me with like a little stuffy, one of my daughter's stuffies, and like a blanket. And, the remotes were right there and the monitor was right there. And it was all just like nicely laid out for me. So I would feel comfortable when I came out and watched TV on my own. And I thought that was so sweet. And he doesn't have to do these big gestures in order for me to appreciate him. But that was something that kind of like had me going then and thinking about more things that I appreciate about him and just feeling really good. What is it that you do that brings out that like appreciative part of you, that feeds that appreciative part of you? It's so important to recognize how our actions and our thoughts are impacting how we're showing up, how we're feeling, what our experience is. The more you feed that appreciative part of you, the less food you have for the critical part, right? But it switches so easily and so quickly, especially if we're used to feeding the critical part. That has to be something that we think about every day, all the time, throughout the day. Like, which part of me am I feeding with my thoughts right now? Which part of me am I feeding with what I'm paying attention to? In any given moment, there are millions of things you could be paying attention to. Are you paying attention to the things that help you feel good or the things that make you feel bad? As I'm talking to you like this, really, I'm talking to me because this is something that I struggle with. And this is something that I think is so incredibly important to get a handle on, you know? Like, in order to feel connected, I have to be feeding the appreciative part of me in order to feel connected to my kid, to my husband, to myself. There's lots of times when I'm super self-critical. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about being self-critical. Here's the most common thing that I hear from my clients when we talk about self-criticism. Firstly, they say, wow, I didn't even realize that I pay so much attention to that voice, but that inner critic that says, you suck, nobody likes you, everything you're doing is a waste of time. We all have that inner critic, and it can be very loud for a lot of us. For some of us, we're able to kind of recognize that's just a voice. There's other voices too that are telling me I'm good, everything's fine, things are going to work out. There's that voice as well. Do you hear that voice too? For some of us, it's really, really quiet, almost like we can't hear it, but it's there, right? And so if we can know that it's there and then start to kind of keep our mind focused and like looking for it, oftentimes we can find it. It says, and sometimes it feels like we're creating it, and that's okay. It's okay, right? It doesn't have to be speaking to you. It can be something that you're putting out there. Like, I'm okay. I'm good. Everything's going to work out. This is all good. I'm being supported, whatever that looks like for you, right? One of the things that I hear the most often from my clients is that inner critic keeps me motivated. That's the reason I go to the gym. That's the reason I do anything with my life. It's like I motivate myself with the carrot rather than, or with the stick rather than the carrot. And if you're one of those people, it's fine. It's fine to motivate yourself however you want to motivate yourself. But I also just want to call your attention to what happens after. When you achieve the thing that you were hoping to achieve, and let's say you motivated yourself with the stick rather than the carrot. Let's say you motivated yourself by telling yourself you're not good enough, you have to prove yourself and stuff like that. Cool. So then you get to the goal. But if you're not able to be kind to yourself in the moment that you've reached your goal, you're not actually going to feel the happiness that that goal is meant to induce in you. And furthermore, if you don't get to that goal, you're going to feel like crap the whole way. But if you are allowing yourself to tune into that voice that's kind, that is like compassionate, that tells you that you're doing an awesome job, keep at it. It's encouraging. It's not like, oh, you're good the way you are, stop trying. It's like, you got this. I know this is really important to you. Keep going. If you can tune into that voice, then even until you reach your goal, you can still feel good as you're working towards your goal. And then when you reach it, you can feel good because you've reached your goal, and that's awesome. So it's like you can choose to feel good, 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 good. Then you reach your goal and you feel maybe even great, right? And it's all good. Or you can choose to feel bad, 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 bad. Chances are, if you do that when you reach your goal, you might feel good at reaching your goal because you reached your goal, but pretty soon you're going to go right back to feeling bad. So it's kind of like choosing, what experience do I want? How do I want to experience this life? Do I want to be feeling crappy or do I want to be feeling really good? I have lost so many days to feeling like crap. So many, countless days. I don't want to think about how many days I've lost to just feeling like crap. And right now I have decided I don't want to do that anymore. So I'm going to go on a criticism cleanse. I hope you'll join me. Join me in doing this, right? So what does this mean? This means one of my daily resolutions, not yearly resolution, my daily resolution that I'm going to keep renewing every single day is, today I want to show up appreciative. Think about, what can I notice that's good and that helps me feel good about myself, about my partner, about my kid. And if I'm critical, I want to catch it as soon as possible and repair. I'm not saying I'm never going to be critical. I might be critical. I might say mean things to myself. I know I did this morning, right? I already told you about that. This morning I was really mean to myself. And then afterwards I repaired. Repair looks like saying, you know what, like self, you know what I said earlier is not actually true. I'm really sorry that I said that. I don't think those things about you. I think you're pretty great. I'm going to choose to focus on what's good about you and on what I like and on the ways that I know you're trying. And I'm going to just really keep doing that because you deserve it, right? And when it comes to your partner, if you've been critical towards your partner or your kid, it's the same thing. You know, I was thinking about what I said earlier, and I actually don't believe that. That's something that the angry part of me believed, but I don't believe that. I'm really sorry that I said that. I don't think that about you at all. I know how hard you're trying. And I really appreciate all the effort that you put in here, right? So it's basically just getting on top of, is this thing helpful or harmful? Is this thought helpful or harmful? Is this thing that I'm about to say helpful or harmful? Is it kind or critical? If it's critical, is there a way I can say it kindly, right? If it's critical, can I take a pause? Can I not say anything right now? Can I think about it for a while? If it's critical, can I just take some time to soothe my own anxiety? Because that's all this is. Criticism is just a way to get you to change your behavior so that I feel better. What if I can just feel better instead? What if I can just do that for myself and for all of us? I know how hard this is, but the fact that you're here watching this video means stopping being critical is really important to you. And I'm here to support you in that. You can think of me as your like personal therapist / best friend. Like, I'm here to tell you, I know it's hard. And I also know you can do this. And if you mess up, it's okay, because you're human and we all mess up. And just the fact that you're repairing after and doing your best to pick a kind word next time instead of a critical word is awesome. I think that's amazing. So I'm here on this journey. I'll let you know how long I last. I hope forever. I hope I keep this going forever, but we'll see. Please let me know how your journey goes. I would love to hear about it. I would love to hear about your journey. I would love to hear about any successes that you had. And if you have some times where you fell flat on your face, you can tell me about that too. And maybe we can come up with some different tools and techniques to help us along the way. As we get happier and happier, this criticism is one of the things that's going to have to fall away. We're going to have to learn to feed appreciation rather than feeding criticism. And so I'm wishing you all the best. I'm Jena. If you want to feel happier every single day and just keep doing the work of happiness, because it is daily work, subscribe, follow along. I will be giving you tools and tips on how to just feel better. That's what we all want, right? We just want to be happy.